Chapter 351. Return to the Glacier. System. Lin Fei accessed the system panel to review the progress of his divine abilities. Host, Lin Fei. Martial Realm, Mid-Stage Martial Sovereign. Great Divine Ability, Black Wind Prison, Perfect. Great Divine Ability, Gravity Domain, Perfect. Great Divine Ability, Dual World Saber, Perfect. Great Divine Ability, Annihilation, Perfect. Great Divine Ability, Undying Seal, Perfect. Great Divine Ability, Pierce, Mastery, Progress 8%. Saber Domain, Transcendence, Progress 10%. Upon seeing the Saber Domain, Lin Fei was astonished to find it had advanced again, having reached a cultivation progress of 10%. The Great Divine Ability, Pierce, had also evolved from its beginner stage to Mastery. This breakthrough was due to it pierce the Heavenly River Orb. Thus, his skills had ascended to Mastery. Lin Fei had been overseeing the 9 Profound Sect for several days. During this time, he stayed within the sect, observing. He was curious to see if any martial sovereigns or Golden Core true persons would defy his decree. If they did, he was ready to act. However, the days passed uneventfully. Everywhere remained calm, with no martial sovereign or Golden Core true person daring to breach Lin Fei's mandate. All were impeccably compliant. Perhaps Lin Fei's execution of true person Yuming and the other 7 Golden Core true persons had sent a clear message. Or it could be the result of slaying Yuan Dragon true person and his cohort of Golden Core true persons. Since all is calm, it's time for me to venture to the Northern Territories, mused Lin Fei. His heart was also set on seeking treasures. As there were no pressing matters in other areas, Lin Fei prepared to depart. With a swoosh, he transformed into a beam of light, instantaneously exiting his cave residence and vanishing into the horizon. Shortly after, he arrived in the Northern Territories, flying ceaselessly towards the far north. The land here was perennially frigid, with snowflakes settling to form a thick carpet of snow. Before him stretched an endless glacier, seemingly boundless. Yet, Lin Fei knew better. It might appear to be a grand illusion, with the glacier not as vast as it seemed, but imbued with a peculiar power that could lead one in endless circles atop it. In the past, when Lin Fei was merely a martial sage, he couldn't detect any flaws or traces of a magical formation on the glacier. Now, as a martial sovereign, he was vastly more powerful than a martial sage. Yet, as far as his eyes could see, all he witnessed was still the vast expanse of the White Glacier. Even as a martial sovereign, he discerned no anomalies. Thus, Lin Fei, just as before, took a step, entering the heart of the glacier. As Lin Fei took his steps into the glacier, an immediate surge of piercing cold engulfed him. Crack, crack. His body quickly started forming layers of ice crystals, seemingly trying to encase him entirely. However, Lin Fei didn't even need to activate his Saber Domain. His flesh had gone through numerous transformations over time. Bang! With a slight vibration of his body, the icy layers on him shattered instantly. The ice crystals covering him broke and crumbled, revealing a scorching aura emanating from his very being. This was the pure power of Lin Fei's flesh. He hadn't frequently utilized the power of his physical body, but that didn't mean it wasn't formidable. Before achieving the status of martial sovereign, he had condensed the energy flower, and his body had undergone subsequent transformations. Even by merely relying on his flesh power, Lin Fei could easily overpower numerous martial saints. Thus, these mere ice crystals and biting cold were of no match to Lin Fei's robust physique. He proceeded forward, leaving footprints with each step. After what felt like an eternity, Lin Fei felt a sense of déjà vu. Just like before, he felt like he was continuously moving in circles within the glacier. There's no trace of any formation. There isn't any obvious seal either. Even a martial sovereign or a Golden Core true person can't detect any flaws. Lin Fei contemplated in silence. There was undoubtedly something off about this glacier. But with just his eyes, he couldn't discern the anomaly. However, his expertise in formations wasn't his strong suit, and he had no intention of searching for any formation flaws. Boom! The next moment, his Saber Domain descended. It expanded mightily in every direction, stretching far and wide. Sometimes the eyes can deceive, the body can lie, and even sensations can be misleading. But the saber domain, it never lied. As it kept expanding, Lin Fei felt resistance. As his saber domain faced this obstruction, Lin Fei opened his eyes. It seemed some force was preventing the spread of his saber domain. So, there is resistance after all, he murmured. But when he tried to walk on his own, he never felt this impediment. Yet, his saber domain didn't lie. This glacier wasn't as vast as it appeared to his eyes. It might even have a limited range. Lin Fei decided to shut his eyes and allow his saber domain to guide him. Within its bounds, he was the omnipotent ruler. Shoo! In an instant, Lin Fei teleported towards the area where his saber domain sensed the obstruction. Swow! Upon opening his eyes, all he could see was the vast expanse of white ice. Turning around, he realized he had only moved less than 100 meters. Nothing seemed unusual here. He could still progress further. However, it was here that his saber domain sensed an obstruction, as if an invisible wall blocked its spread. Lin Fei reached out his hand. He stretched it forward. Yet everything felt normal. His hand didn't touch anything unusual. Lin Fei then took another step, continuing to walk ahead. With each step he took in the perception of his saber domain, it felt as if he was walking backward, moving further away from where the saber domain was obstructed. No, something is definitely wrong there, Lin Fei thought. He returned to the spot where his saber domain was hindered. He was now certain that there was an issue. No matter what this place is, be it a formation or a seal, Lin Fei murmured, if the power is strong enough, it can break all barriers. Determination shone in Lin Fei's eyes. The next moment, the life wheel appeared behind him. The life wheel was enormous, with its 6 layers of light shining brilliantly, making it appear sacred, mysterious, and powerful. It radiated a terrifying pressure. Divine ability, gravity domain. The second layer of light shone brighter. At the same time, the gravity domain descended. A terrifying gravitational force instantly covered the entire glacier. Loud rumbling sounds resonated as the glacier shattered. While this glacier might pose a threat to martial saints, under Lin Fei's gravity domain, it was nothing. Under Lin Fei's overwhelming force, the glacier was reduced to cold water in an instant. The glacier was gone, replaced by endless water. Yet, despite the transformation of the glacier to water, Lin Fei still stood in the same place without noticing any anomalies. In the perception of his saber domain, there was still an invisible barrier. Divine ability, annihilation. Divine ability, dual world saber. After Lin Fei executed both the annihilation divine ability and dual world saber, it seemed like he was striking at empty air. It had no effect. If not for the perception of Lin Fei's saber domain sensing the invisible barrier, he might not have noticed any anomalies. Divine ability, pierce. Lin Fei had one more divine ability that could penetrate everything. A massive beam of light shot out, heading straight into the void. There was a slight distortion in the void, and the beam of light disappeared. However, a small, pitch-black hole was left in its place. Is this a... Lin Fei was taken aback. It seemed that he had truly discovered something. Chapter 352. As your Flood Dragon King. The small dark hole was only as thick as a thumb. This was because the beam of light from Lin Fei's pierced divine ability was not particularly wide. The more condensed the beam, the stronger its power. The size of the beam wasn't crucial, what mattered was its penetrating power. But this didn't pose a challenge for Lin Fei. If the beam was too small, he could enlarge it or even use it multiple times. Divine ability, pierce. Once again, Lin Fei activated the pierce divine ability. Beams of light pierced through the void, creating numerous small holes. These beams were consecutive, linking the holes together. Over time, these connected small holes grew into a larger one. After an unknown number of uses of the pierced divine ability, a person-high large hole formed in front of Lin Fei. Surprisingly, the hole was slowly recovering. If Lin Fei didn't continue to use his divine ability, in about half an hour, the hole would probably recover to its original state. Inside the large hole was profound darkness, like another world. However, Lin Fei faintly guessed that this might be a seal. Or perhaps a formation. Lin Fei hesitated, wondering what lay on the other side of this large hole. After a long pause, he decided to step in and see for himself. The legends of the ancient continent must have their origins. There was indeed something wrong with the Great Chan. Such a seal or array couldn't have been set up by someone of the Golden Core or martial sovereign level. Even a nascent soul great being might not be capable of it. Taking a deep breath, Lin Fei no longer hesitated. With a whoosh, he stepped into the large hole. A buzzing sound filled his ears, and everything went black as if he had arrived deep underground. However, when he looked up, he was met with a shocking sight. Floating in the void was a creature so colossal it defied imagination, resembling a flood dragon. Its body was covered in pitch-black scales and spanned tens of thousands of feet. Yet, such a gigantic dragon was bound in the void by massive chains. These chains seemed to be forged from pure spiritual energy from heaven and earth. An endless stream of spiritual energy gathered, forming the chains that directly bound the flood dragon. Roar. Occasionally, the flood dragon would raise its head and roar, expressing intense pain. Then, unable to resist, the flood dragon spat out a massive inner core from its mouth. This was the inner core of the flood dragon. As it spun, countless spiritual chi converged around it, seemingly condensing into a clear and sparkling droplet. The nature of this liquid was unclear and seemed to require a lengthy time to form. Below the flood dragon was a pond. At the moment, the pond was filled with this crystalline water. However, it wasn't really water but droplets from the flood dragon's inner core, which had gathered over time to form this pool. The time it took to form such a pool was uncertain. Young man, kill me. End my suffering. The flood dragon seemed to have noticed Lin Fei and, astonishingly, spoke in human language, begging Lin Fei to end its life. Where is this? Who are you? Why are you trapped here? Lin Fei bombarded the dragon with questions. The flood dragon roared to the heavens, I am the Azure Flood Dragon King. Kill me, and you can have my flesh and blood. For a martial sovereign like you, consuming me can greatly benefit your progression to becoming a martial king. If you end my life, all of my flesh and blood are yours. The flood dragon bellowed, clearly enduring tremendous pain, so much so that it would rather die. Lin Fei was taken aback. Flood Dragon King? Clearly, this was an exotic beast, or perhaps a sea beast. Any creature with the title king indicates its high status. A king-level exotic beast is equivalent to a martial king among martial artists or a nascent soul great being in the Taoist world. Lin Fei never expected to encounter such a beast here, chained and seemingly in great agony. Who could have possibly chained the Flood Dragon King? At last, someone has entered. Just as Lin Fei's attention was focused on the Flood Dragon King, an ethereal voice entered his ears. Who's there? Lin Fei immediately became alert, looking around. A hum resonated. Gradually, a phantom figure took form in the void. It was a man dressed in Taoist robes. I am Dubha, the artifact spirit. Your arrival here might be fortunate or perhaps unfortunate. Entering this place merely proves you are worthy of my allegiance. However, if you wish for me to serve you, you must pass a test, the spirit named Dubha stated directly. A test? What kind of test? And where is this place? Lin Fei inquired, full of questions. He had arrived at this strange location, met the Flood Dragon, and now faced a spirit that inexplicably wanted him to prove his worth. Lin Fei was utterly puzzled. Pass the test and all your questions will be answered, Dubha said. If you fail, you'll die. Knowing or not knowing the answers then won't matter. Die. Lin Fei's eyes narrowed. Dubha's words revealed a hint, the test could be fatal. You're a martial sovereign, so the test will only be at the level. Dubhe waved his hand, and with a roar, a terrifying exotic beast appeared, a massive python, thousands of meters long, emitting a dreadfully oppressive aura. "White python, if you kill this man, you'll be free," Dubhe declared, "and martial sovereign, if you can kill the white python, you'll pass the test. The loser will die." With that, Dubhe vanished, leaving Lin Fei alone with the menacing python. Without hesitation, Lin Fei's life will emerged powerfully from behind him. Surprisingly, he felt a potent threat emanating from the python, a force far surpassing any martial sovereign-level beast he had ever encountered. Divine ability, gravity domain. From the second layer of Lin Fei's life wheel, a radiant light shone, and suddenly a crushing gravitational force descended upon the white python. Caught off guard, the gravity domain pressed the python heavily to the ground. But its body seemed extraordinarily robust. Even when slammed into the ground with such force, it appeared unscathed, merely shaking its head to recover. But Lin Fei's powers weren't limited to the gravity domain. In the next instant, a saber materialized before him. Countless energies from the life wheel converged, and the third layer of his life wheel radiated brilliantly. Divine ability, Dual World Saber. With a swift motion, Lin Fei unleashed his attack. Silently, the Dual World Saber struck the white python. Chapter 353. The Invincible White Python. Lin Fei's Dual World Saber was mighty and had never missed its target. As the blade struck the white python, its massive body began to crumble inch by inch. Its consciousness grew blurry as if Lin Fei's attack had destroyed its spirit. After all, the Dual World Saber was known to kill the body with one blow and destroy the spirit with another. However, in the next moment, the white python roared furiously. A large phantom image began to form around it, the white dragon. The python had the bloodline of a white dragon and had now fully activated it. Crackling scales, those of a dragon, started appearing on the python. As these scales grew, the seemingly dying python began to rejuvenate rapidly. Its initially disoriented consciousness became clear with the manifestation of the white dragon phaeton. With a thunderous leap, the python shot into the sky, aiming for Lin Fei. It swung its massive tail fiercely towards him. Saber domain. Without hesitation, Lin Fei activated his saber domain. Fire. A rain of flames descended. Yet, when the python's tail swept through after the saber domain's activation, Lin Fei instantly vanished from its sight. Inside the saber domain, Lin Fei was supreme. Flames continuously scorched the python. But after its transformation into a quasi-dragon, the python's physical strength might have surged 10 or even 100 times. Even the raging flames couldn't harm it. With another sweep of its tail, Lin Fei's saber domain violently trembled. Splash! The next moment, Lin Fei's saber domain was torn apart. Lin Fei felt a chill in his heart. He was well aware of his saber domain's potency. Since its evolution, it had been torn apart only once by the Tai Dao Palace's Great Mountain Divine Seal. And now, the transformed python, although not a complete transformation into a dragon, showcased such tremendous power. Divine ability, Annihilation. Lin Fei activated his Annihilation divine ability. The power of Annihilation enveloped the python. However, a faint glow emanated from its scales. Despite the eroding force of destruction, the python remained unharmed. The python's tail came sweeping once again, and this time, without his saber domain, Lin Fei couldn't teleport away. Bang! The massive tail of the python fiercely struck Lin Fei. In an instant, an overwhelming force directly exploded Lin Fei into a mist of blood. The python calmed down, and in the void, the tormented Azure Flood Dragon King also settled into a somber silence. A hint of agony appeared in the eyes of the Azure Flood Dragon King. He died again, it lamented. A mere white python was his undoing. When will someone come to liberate me? The pain. The Azure Flood Dragon King's face contorted in anguish. Its core was constantly being tormented, making every moment excruciating for it, a fate worse than death. It wished for someone to end its misery. When Lin Fei entered, the Dragon King saw hope. But now, Lin Fei was defeated by a mere python. As time ticked by, the python's massive eyes scanned the void. The Azure Flood Dragon King noticed something amiss. He's not dead. Without Dubhe making an appearance, there could only be one reason: Lin Fei wasn't dead. The python seemed to deduce this as well, attempting to find Lin Fei's trace. The next moment, the blood mist quickly condensed and Lin Fei reappeared unscathed. He wasn't dead. Although the python's powerful tail had exploded him instantly, Lin Fei had the undying seal divine ability. Although he couldn't withstand the python's tremendous power, as it hadn't reached the particle level, Lin Fei remained unharmed. Without touching the particle level, he was essentially immortal. However, there wasn't a hint of joy on Lin Fei's face. He had been defeated. It was the first time he was overpowered by a being of his level. The python, fundamentally at the martial sovereign tier, but seemed to completely suppress him. Even if this python had secret techniques or the bloodline of the white dragon, marking it as an ancient unique species, Lin Fei was being dominated. Only his undying seal was keeping him alive. Divine ability, Pierce. Lin Fei's eyes were cold. Techniques like the Dual World Saber, Annihilation, and Gravity Domain had no effect on the python. But the divine ability called Pierce was different. This technique, known to penetrate anything, was originally created by Lin Fei not for combat or attack but to break seals and confinements on magical treasures. However, this white python was too powerful, its defense terrifyingly formidable. It seemed none of Lin Fei's divine abilities or techniques had any effect, leaving only the divine ability Pierce. Lin Fei wanted to see if Pierce truly was invincible. Whoosh! As Lin Fei unleashed the divine ability Pierce, a beam of light instantly shot out from him, plunging straight into the python's body. Splat! A faint sound. Despite the python's strong defenses and its bloodline of the white dragon, under the piercing force of the Pierce divine ability, all defenses were rendered useless. The beam drilled through the python's body, leaving a bloody hole. Roar! The python let out a furious roar, its massive claws lashing out at Lin Fei. Bang! Lin Fei's body was torn apart by the python once again. However, he quickly regenerated, a hint of a smile gracing his face. His Pierce divine ability had worked on the python. Even if it was just a small bloody hole, it was a wound, an undeniable vulnerability, and Lin Fei's opportunity. Divine ability, Black Wind Prison. Light radiated from the first layer of Lin Fei's life wheel. A cold, bone-chilling wind began to blow. This wind wrapped around the python. While the scales of the python remained unaffected, the wind slipped into the bloody hole left by the Pierce divine ability. Inside the python, the corrosive wind raged. As the wind blew, bones were revealed. With a roar of agony, the python thrashed violently, but to no avail. Its flesh rapidly decayed from the inside out, revealing a skeletal structure. In just a moment, the python turned into a massive skeleton, devoid of any signs of life. It had died. The bone-eroding wind had invaded its body, reducing it to bare bones. Stripped of flesh, the white python could not escape death. Congratulations, you have passed the test. At this moment, Dubhe appeared. Chapter 354. The Master of the Tao Artifact. Passed the test. So, you can be tamed now. Lin Fei fixed his gaze on Dubhe, a glint of brilliance flashing in his eyes. Yes, I can now be tamed. Let's begin the process. Dubhe smiled faintly. Whoosh! In the next moment, Dubhe disappeared, transforming into a jade pendant and directly entering Lin Fei's body. Furthermore, Dubhe entered Lin Fei at a particle level. This meant if someone's power couldn't destroy Lin Fei's particles, no one could snatch away Dubhe. As Dubhe molded into him, Lin Fei closed his eyes. Visions and information about Dubhe emerged in his mind. For instance, he learned that Dubhe is a Tao artifact, crafted by a true immortal at the Tao integration level, named Dubhe. It is an entirely supportive instrument, containing various teachings of the immortal Tao, martial Tao, various secret manuals, formation methods, magic treasure crafting, and more, a vast collection gathered by true immortal Dubhe after investing endless efforts. Before leaving, true immortal Dubhe left behind the Dubhe Dao artifact for someone predestined to find. Lin Fei was that person. Dubhe, with a thought, Lin Fei summoned Dubhe. Master, Dubhe reappeared. What is Dao integration? Lin Fei inquired. The stages of immortal Dao are Qi condensation, foundation establishment, golden core, nascent soul, deity transformation, Dao integration, and great completion. Dao integration is also known as becoming a true immortal. It signifies understanding the great Dao and achieving the status of a true immortal. Lin Fei's eyes shone brightly. Dao integration to become a true immortal. So, the term immortal actually refers to Dao integration. The Dubhe Dao artifact is indeed a great opportunity. Am I the first master of you? No, Qin Yuzi was its first master. Initially, Qin Yuzi and Hua Shanzi discovered true immortal Dubhe's cave mansion and subsequently obtained the treasures of true immortal Dubhe. Among them, Qin Yuzi received the Dubhe Dao artifact. Later, Qin Yuzi and Hua Shanzi became Dao companions. However, in her pursuit of deity transformation, Hua Shanzi ambushed Qin Yuzi, seizing his treasures. Gravely injured, Qin Yuzi fled here with only the Dubhe Dao artifact left. He cultivated diligently, but due to Hua Shanzi's betrayal, his foundation was damaged. He could only cultivate to half-step deity transformation, never truly achieving it. When Qin Yuzi's life limit approached, he left the Dubhe Dao artifact behind and sought Hua Shanzi for closure. Unfortunately, he died, severing his connection with the Dubhe Dao artifact. The Atta Flood Dragon King was specifically captured by Qin Yuzi to set up a large formation, utilizing the spiritual qi of the entire continent to nourish the Flood Dragon King's inner pill. This was all to refine the jade liquid in an attempt to repair his foundation. Alas, even the jade liquid couldn't restore him completely. Lin Fei understood. Qin Yuzi was the first master of the Dubhe Dao artifact. However, he didn't achieve deity transformation and was even betrayed by his Dao companion. In the pursuit of the Dao, even one's companion could prove unreliable. This jade liquid, besides repairing the foundation, does it have any benefits for martial artists? Lin Fei asked. The jade liquid has little effect on martial artists. Yet, for one with a golden core, its impact is profound. In fact, the jade liquid has another name, the nascent soul transformation liquid. As the name suggests, it greatly aids the process of nascent soul transformation. However, the concoction of the nascent soul transformation liquid is arduous. It demands the alignment of heaven and earth. For instance, the entire continent must absorb the spiritual qi from the heavens and earth for 20,000 years to produce but a mere drop of this liquid. And only with the core of the Azure Flood Dragon, a sea creature of extraordinary talent, can this jade liquid possibly come into existence. Lin Fei was somewhat disheartened, for the jade liquid held no value to martial artists, which meant it was currently of no use to him. He couldn't leap forward in strength due to this fortuitous encounter. Master, the martial path is different from the path of the immortals. The true immortal Dubhe once said that the martial way is a journey to break one's own chains, all must be achieved through one's own efforts. Yet, once these chains are shattered, the accomplishments of the martial path can be boundless, possibly even surpassing that of the immortals. Lin Fei's eyes sparkled with realization. This was spoken by Dubhe, the true immortal. Once the martial path reached its zenith, it might even surpass the way of the immortals. Of course, Lin Fei was still far from that peak. But on reflection, the power of the martial artist was inherent. There was no need to rely on external forces. Indeed, in this respect, the martial path seemed stronger than that of the immortals. The Dubhe Dao artifact is merely a storage space, meant to hold manuals. Lin Fei felt that such a grand artifact, crafted by a Dao integration true immortal, seemed a bit underwhelming in its prowess. After all, there were many magical treasures that could store techniques and scriptures. There seemed to be no need to specifically forge such an artifact. Master, aside from storing scriptures, the Dubhe Dao artifact serves another crucial purpose. It can accelerate time. Anything related to time is a domain only those of the true immortal level can touch, if only just barely. In this aspect alone, the Dubhe Dao artifact surpasses all other magical treasures. Time acceleration. A notion stirred within Lin Fei. Such an ability defied the heavens. To Lin Fei, sometimes he indeed wished for time to move faster. After all, his lifespan was vast, yet his cultivation was young. There were instances where step-by-step cultivation could lead to the peak. Yet, regrettably, Lin Fei didn't have the luxury of time. For instance, his saber domain. The direction of its completion was already clear to Lin Fei. He didn't need to worry about its cultivation. Time was all he needed to reach perfection. But how long would it take? A year? A decade? Or a century? Lin Fei was uncertain. However, with time acceleration, Lin Fei could perfect his saber domain in a short span, preparing him for impending crises. How can I accelerate time? Lin Fei inquired. Typically, only a true immortal can activate time acceleration. But Dubhe, the true immortal, forged the Dubhe Dao artifact. It consumes vast energy to accelerate time. This energy is not ordinary. It is unimaginably vast. Certain spiritual chi stones, spirit liquids, and the cores of exotic beasts can serve this purpose. Lin Fei pondered deeply. He realized that this energy must be truly extraordinary. Wait, can the jade liquid serve as this energy? Lin Fei's eyes lit up, gazing at the vast pool of jade liquid. That was what Qin Yuzi had set up with the Great Formation, taking tens of thousands of years, absorbing the entire spiritual qi of the Great Chan. Now Lin Fei began to grasp why the Great Chan declined. Many exotic beasts had become extinct. Because the formation Qin Yuzi set was ceaselessly drawing the spiritual qi. With the decrease in spiritual qi, exotic beasts were affected. Some left the Great Chan, while others perished. Naturally, the martial and immortal paths of the Great Chan faced hindrances. Many strong beings had to cross the seas, seeking the ancient continent. All could be traced back to Qin Yuzi's formation. All because of this jade liquid. Chapter 355. Hundredfold temporal acceleration. Jade liquid. Of course. And indeed, nothing could be better. Dubhe nodded in agreement. In that case, once we extract the jade liquid, we could accelerate time within the Dubhe Dao artifact. Lin Fei's heart stirred. He promptly lifted his gaze, casting it towards the distant pool of jade liquid. Without hesitation, he took a step forward, drawing near to the pool's edge. A hum resonated. In the next moment, within the jade liquid pool, a phantasmal figure in doused robes materialized. A mere illusory shadow. Fellow Taoist, I'm Qin Yuzi. Qin Yuzi? Lin Fei was taken aback. Hadn't Qin Yuzi perished? Why was he here? Do not be alarmed, fellow Taoist. If you seeing this avatar of my divided spirit after all this time, I'm probably no longer alive. Considering you've made it here, even passing Dubhe's test, becoming its master, you must undoubtedly be exceptional, a peak individual with prospects of deity transformation. If you wish to extract the jade liquid, feel free. But remember, this jade liquid is the culmination of my life's efforts, condensed over countless years. If you do decide to take it, all I ask is that when it's within your capabilities, you grant me a favor. Should a day come when your power surpasses Hua Shanzi, I implore you, in the name of our friendship, to slay Hua Shanzi, avenging the grudges in my heart. Of course, no vows are necessary, nor is it a demand. I merely hope that you'd consider our shared karma, take the jade liquid, and help me achieve my long-held desire. Upon saying this, the avatar of the divided spirit began to dissipate slowly, eventually vanishing without a trace. Dubhe was that the divided spirit of Qin Yuzi. Could it be that Qin Yuzi has already achieved deity transformation? To even leave behind an avatar of his spirit? Lin Fei queried Dubhe. Leaving behind an avatar of one's divided spirit was no trivial matter. Even nascent soul powerhouses couldn't achieve this. Only those of deity transformation status could manifest countless divine senses, only then could they create a divided spirit. Dubhe slightly shook its head. Qin Yuzi isn't a deity transformation powerhouse. True deity transformation powerhouses, each of their divided spirits can dominate a region, possessing unparalleled skills. Unlike Qinyuzi, who merely manifested an avatar, this is merely a trace of Qinyuzi's divine sense. He had a breakthrough, reaching a half-step deity transformation, hence his ability to leave behind an avatar of his divine sense. Yet, Qinyuzi is still half a step away from achieving a divided spirit. In his weakened state, he couldn't bridge that half-step, no matter how hard he tried. Lin Fei nodded, albeit clueless about Qinyuzi's compromised foundation or the exact circumstances of the divided spirit. Nevertheless, these details were trivial to Lin Fei. He wasn't even a martial king. Moreover, martial arts didn't have the concept of a divided spirit. Martial artists didn't tread the path of divided spirits. Lin Fei could extract this jade liquid freely. Moreover, Qinyuzi didn't impose any oath upon Lin Fei. The terms were even quite lenient. Only if Lin Fei surpassed Hua Shanzi in strength would he act on his own accord whether to seek vengeance on Hua Shanzi. Hence, Lin Fei felt no moral burden in taking the jade liquid. However, having benefited from Qinyuzi, Lin Fei nodded, "Should there come a day when my strength surpasses Hua Shanzi, I shall avenge you." With these words, Lin Fei extended his hand, and in his palm, the Dubhe Dao artifact materialized. Go. Lin Fei's thoughts stirred. The Dubhe Dao artifact soared directly into the jade liquid pool. So many jade liquid pools, it can accelerate for a significant period, he mused. Dubhe, how long can time be accelerated within? Lin Fei inquired. Inside the Dubhe, time can be sped up to 100-fold, came the reply. Lin Fei pondered this. 100-fold acceleration of time. A single day outside meant 100 days within the Dubhe. An entire year outside was akin to a century within. The thought was indeed daunting. Lin Fei promptly entered the Dubhe. Inside, it consisted of several layers. There was a cultivation space, a space for martial arts manuals, and in the chamber, Lin Fei stumbled upon an unexpected discovery. Could this Dubhe Dao artifact also serve as a protective magical treasure? After all, a Dao artifact surely couldn't be easily destroyed, could it? Should danger befall me, I would retreat within the Dao artifact. Would it be safe then? To what extent can the Dubhe shield from attacks? Lin Fei pressed on. The Dubhe clarified, the Dubhe is but an auxiliary Dao artifact. Neither attack nor defense is its forte. However, it remains a Dao artifact, made of unique materials. Attacks below Dao integration essentially can't harm it. But if the master hides within, safety isn't guaranteed. If the enemy seals or confines it, they likewise trap the master. Powerful beings, like nascent soul and deity transformation masters, could even forcibly refine the Dao artifact. In such a scenario, the master would face certain doom. Hence, unless absolutely necessary, the master shouldn't seek refuge within. The enemy would surely covet such a Dao artifact. Lin Fei understood. Upon reflection, it indeed seemed so. Taking refuge inside the Dubhe Dao artifact had its limitations. It might merely delay one's demise. Yet, in desperate situations, when there seemed to be no way out, it might just save a life. Lin Fei was now deep in contemplation. To accelerate time or not? If he did, he could only cultivate his saber domain. However, he couldn't discern how long it might take to perfect the saber domain. Perhaps a year, maybe a decade, or even a century. If his lifespan was mere centuries, he might not have opted for time acceleration. But Lin Fei was a martial sovereign. He had a lifespan of millennia. Such an extended life, even if he accelerated time and consumed some of it, wouldn't be a significant loss. Furthermore, if he did accelerate, Lin Fei would closely monitor the situation, ensuring not overextend. At present, the only rapid advancement available to Lin Fei was the saber domain. Once the saber domain was perfected, Lin Fei's prowess would surge. Possibly enough to deter any golden core cultivator or martial sovereign beyond the Great Chan. Dubhe, accelerate time. Accelerate it 100-fold. Draw energy from the jade liquid. As you wish, master. And thus, the dubhe began to radiate brilliant luminescence. It then started absorbing vast quantities of jade liquid from the pool. Inside the dubhe's cultivation chamber, Lin Fei faintly felt a distortion in the void as if an intangible force was acting upon him. Of course, he felt little else. He simply closed his eyes, deeply immersing himself in understanding the saber domain. Beyond the seas of Great Chan, a colossal ship slowly approached the shore. This ship seemed to be a magical treasure, unyielding to the attacks of sea beasts, traversing the vast oceans as if it was solid ground. A sharp sound echoed, as from within the ship, 8 golden core true persons emerged, taking to the skies. They landed on the soils of Great Chan. Yuan Long's life lamp has shattered, he has fallen. Who could possibly have slain Yuan Long? This mere treasure-rich land, so barren, where even the spiritual qi is so sparse, how could it possibly harbor one who could defeat Yuan Long? It must be other martial sovereigns or golden cores from the ancient continent. HMPH, no matter who dealt the lethal blow, any who dare kill an elder of my Heavenly River Dao sect shall face retribution. There's no need for a lengthy investigation. Let us sweep through this treasure-rich land and let everyone know it now belongs to the Heavenly River Dao sect. While we are at it, let's find and execute the one who murdered Yuan Long. Indeed, let us employ this method. Thus, the 8 golden core true persons transformed into a streak of radiant light, heading straight into the heart of Great Chan. Chapter 356. Perfection Realm Saber Domain. Inside the Dubhe Dao artifact. With a whish sound, Lin Fei abruptly opened his eyes. 10 years. I accelerated time by 10 years. So, only about 37 days or roughly a month has passed outside. After opening his eyes and through the Dubhe Dao artifact, Lin Fei instantly grasped the time he'd accelerated, a full 10 years. The reason he awoke now was that his saber domain had reached perfection. Yes, in merely 10 years, the saber domain was perfected. This was crucial for Lin Fei and even beyond his expectations. He had initially thought it might take decades or even a century for the saber domain to become perfect. Yet, it only took 10 years. System, Lin Fei called out to inspect. Host, Lin Fei. Martial Realm, Mid-Stage Martial Sovereign. Great Divine Ability, Black Wind Prison, Perfection. Great Divine Ability, Gravity Domain, Perfection. Great Divine Ability, Dual World Saber, Perfection. Great Divine Ability, Annihilation, Perfection. Great Divine Ability, Undying Seal, Perfection. Great Divine Ability, Pierce, Transcendence, Progress 2%. Saber Domain, Perfection, Progress 0%. Lin Fei's Saber Domain was indeed perfected. Hold on, the Divine Ability Pierce has transcended. It was then that Lin Fei noticed this. He remembered that his Pierce was merely at mastery, a fact he wouldn't mistake. Delving into his memories, Lin Fei discovered the reason. The Pierce Divine Ability had seen some progression when it pierced through the seal on the glacier. Then, during the test of the Dubhe Dao artifact, it pierced a giant python, further enhancing its progression. However, it hadn't transcended yet and was just slightly short. Inside the Dao artifact, as time accelerated for 10 years, the Pierce Divine Ability was slowly cultivated and improved, even if it wasn't apparent. Therefore, after the 10-year acceleration, the Pierce Divine Ability had improved. And Lin Fei seemed to have missed the system's voice in his mind. Saber Domain perfected, Pierce Divine Ability transcended. Both the Saber Domain and the Pierce Divine Ability showed great progress. Taking a deep breath, Lin Fei promptly left the Dubhe Dao artifact. Saber Domain. Around Lin Fei, a white glow instantly emerged, signifying the perfection of the Saber Domain. Now it had fully transformed from illusion to reality, vast and boundless, like a colossal barrier separating the inner and outer worlds, forming its own space. Moreover, Perfection Saber Domain's power was immense. Lin Fei faintly felt that even the previous python, despite possessing the bloodline of the White Dragon, might not be able to tear through his Saber Domain anymore. Whether the Great Mountain Divine Seal could break through Lin Fei's Saber Domain was something Lin Fei was uncertain about. The power of the Great Mountain Divine Seal was indeed unfathomable, being a magic treasure of the nascent soul realm. Even if Lin Fei's saber domain had reached perfection, it was still only at the martial sovereign level, still a realm behind. However, with the combined power of the saber domain and the gravity domain, facing the golden core and martial sovereign level, Lin Fei could now truly claim to be unmatched within the martial sovereign realm. Over a month has passed. It's time to return to the Nine Profound Sect. Lin Fei, having discovered the secret of Great Chan and even possessing the treasure of Great Chan, quickly departed from the sealed location and even left the glacier, heading straight towards the Nine Profound Sect. Within the void surrounding the Nine Profound Sect stood 8 individuals emanating the aura of Golden Core True Persons. These were the elite from the Heavenly River Dao Sect. They had come to Great Chan, sweeping all in their path, and had learned of the identity of the one who slew Yuanlong, Lin Fei, the martial saint of Nine Profound Sect, famously known as Saber Saint. But now, he had a new title, Saber Sovereign Lin Fei. From Saber Saint to Saber Sovereign, the change of one word signified a massive difference in power, status, and identity. The title of Saber Sovereign, even within the ancient continent, was seen as supremely prestigious, representing the pinnacle amongst martial sovereigns. It's unbelievable that a mere place like Great Chan, a barren land, could produce someone like Lin Fei. He defeated Yuanlong in direct combat, which is truly extraordinary. Witnesses to the battle between Lin Fei and Yuanlong recalled, Yuanlong tried to use his water escape technique, but was trapped. He even shouted martial domain during the battle. It seems that Lin Fei indeed deserves the title of Saber Sovereign. He most likely possesses the Saber domain. Only a martial sovereign who has evolved a Saber domain truly deserves the title of Saber Sovereign. These 8 Golden Core True Persons from the Heavenly River Dao Sect did not underestimate Lin Fei. In fact, they highly regarded him. Yuanlong wasn't a pushover, especially with his water escape technique and the Heavenly River Orb. With the water escape technique, almost no one could capture or kill him. Yet, he was defeated and killed by Lin Fei, clearly indicating the power of Lin Fei's martial domain, or more specifically, his saber domain. No matter what, we, the Heavenly River Dao Sect, are determined to seize this treasure-rich land. They then arrived directly at the entrance of the Nine Profound Sect. One of the Golden Core True Persons shouted with a booming voice that echoed throughout the sect, 8 True Persons from Heavenly River Dao Sect request Saber Sovereign Lin Fei to grace us with his presence. The entire Nine Profound Sect held its breath in anticipation of what would come next. The swift sounds of movement echoed through the Nine Profound Sect as the sect leader and Jiao Conmin immediately left their respective residences, looking up to the sky. Their expressions darkened upon witnessing the imposing aura of the 8 Golden Core True Persons from the Heavenly River Dao Sect. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Jiao Conmin clenched his teeth and responded, Sovereign Lin is out and has not returned yet. Not back. One of the Golden Core True Persons raised an eyebrow, his expression unreadable. Without further ado, the 8 unleashed their divine sense, scanning every inch of the Nine Profound Sect. Confirming Lin Fei's absence, they exchanged glances. With their combined might, annihilating the entire Nine Profound Sect would be a trivial task. But the Nine Profound Sect was insignificant to them, their true objective was Lin Fei. The Heavenly River Dao Sect's grand arrival was to proclaim to the martial sovereigns and Golden Core True Persons of the ancient continent their authority. They sought to dominate the treasure-rich lands of Great Chan, and to achieve that, they needed to challenge, even defeat, its strongest, Saber Sovereign Lin Fei. Destroying the Nine Profound Sect wouldn't serve its purpose and would only enrage Lin Fei further. They were cautious about pushing a formidable martial sovereign to his limits. If Lin Fei were driven to desperation and began operating from the shadows, the trouble for the Heavenly River Dao Sect would magnify. With a decisive move, one of the Golden Core True Persons threw down a challenge scroll. Addressing the members of the Nine Profound Sect below, he announced, we, the 8 Golden Core True Persons of the Heavenly River Dao Sect, challenge Saber Sovereign Lin Fei to a duel at the ruins of the Hidden Sword Sect. Saber Sovereign must arrive at the Hidden Sword Sect ruins in 3 days. The victor will have authority over Great Chan. The loser will have to leave Great Chan forever and never return. Without waiting for a response, the 8 golden core true persons turned around, transforming into streaks of golden light, disappearing into the horizon. Chapter 357. Accept the challenge. The challenge set by the 8 golden core true persons of the Heavenly River Tao sect to the 9 profound sect's saber sovereign Lin Fei spread like wildfire throughout Great Chan. Most natives of Great Chan had little knowledge of the Heavenly River Tao sect. However, they were all too aware that 8 golden core true persons would be no ordinary threat, especially given their potential combined might. But for the martial sovereigns and golden core true persons hailing from the ancient continent, the news meant much more. They were well acquainted with the formidable reputation of the Heavenly River Tao sect, a sect renowned for its nascent soul lineage. With 8 of its golden core true persons challenging Lin Fei, it was a clear gesture of acknowledging Lin Fei's might on par with theirs. However, regardless of the outcome between the golden core true persons and Lin Fei, Great Chan was bound to come under solid authority. The other martial sovereigns and golden core individuals began to feel the pressure of the impending shift. Upon his return to 9 profound sect, Lin Fei examined the challenge scroll, his expression a mix of surprise and anticipation. Was the sect using this method because they feared him? Sovereign Lin, the sect leader, expressed his concerns. Facing the 8 golden core true persons of the Heavenly River Tao sect is daunting. Moreover, I've heard they are of the nascent soul lineage. They are not to be underestimated. Shen Lianxin, however, was quick to interject. Sovereign Lin has faced nascent soul lineages before. He single-handedly confronted a nascent soul lineage on the ancient continent. Shen was well versed with Lin Fei's achievements, including his assault on the Tai Dao Palace. Merely sending 8 golden core true persons as a miscalculation on their part, he concluded confidently. Nascent soul lineages were undeniably potent, but without their paramount nascent soul figures, they were vulnerable, especially to someone of Lin Fei's caliber. I will accept their challenge, Lin Fei declared, his eyes gleaming with determination. Once I deal with the 8 golden core true persons from the Heavenly River Tao sect, I'll designate Great Chan as forbidden grounds. Anyone who dares to step into Great Chan will be executed without mercy. Lin Fei's confidence was palpable. As a martial sovereign, he was unrivaled. No one could stand in his way unless nascent soul cultivators and martial kings. And yes, I've gathered some martial techniques of the martial sage caliber. They can be stored within the 9 profound sect. Once someone achieves the martial sage status, they can cultivate these techniques systematically. They can ascend to martial sovereign without needing to wander in search of the Tao. As for the issue of the exotic beast's flesh and blood, it's rather simple. Great Chan may like exotic beasts, but the vast seas are teeming with them. I intend to hunt some sea beasts, or perhaps capture and rear them within Great Chan. Lin Fei had everything meticulously planned out. In fact, due to the grand array set up by Qin Yuzi in Great Chan, the spiritual qi had been dwindling. However, for martial artists, this wasn't much of a concern. Their reliance on spiritual qi was minimal to begin with. At most, it impacted the survival of the exotic beasts. But even that was no longer a pressing issue. The seas brimmed with countless exotic beasts. Both Lin Fei and Shen Lianxin could hunt them. And if, in the future, another martial saint emerges from the 9 profound sect, they too could hunt. With the emergence of a martial saint, Lin Fei's martial techniques could assist them in cultivating all the way to martial sovereign, eliminating the risk of navigating the treacherous seas in search of the Tao. These martial saint caliber techniques were all contained within the Duphe Tao artifact. They were collected by the true immortal of Duphe. Most of these techniques were of the martial saint and foundation establishment level. Lin Fei had no intention of passing down any immortal Tao techniques. Great Chan didn't need the path of immortals, just the martial path. Pulling out these martial techniques, the higher echelons of the 9 profound sect regarded them as invaluable treasures. Though they might not be able to cultivate these techniques, they symbolized the sect's profound heritage. With these techniques in their possession, the 9 profound sect could consistently produce martial saints. Perhaps even a martial sovereign. Elevating them to the top martial sect in all of Great Chan. Or even transforming Great Chan into a martial sacred land. Lin Fei's vision was to mold the Nine Profound sect into such a revered place. Great Chan was compact, not requiring numerous martial sects. Let the Nine Profound sect stand as the pinnacle, continuously attracting the finest martial prodigies from all over Great Chan. Only in such a manner could martial saints and even martial sovereigns emerge. This was the real way to ensure Great Chan's long-term stability and fearless of external threats. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. The former side of the Hidden Sword sect. Lin Fei had executed true person Yuming and 7 other Golden Core true persons here. Now, another group of 8 Golden Core individuals awaited. Yet, these 8 Golden Cores were leagues beyond what true person Yuming could match. These were the 8 Golden Cores from the Heavenly River Dao sect. Any single one of them could easily rival the combined might of true person Yuming and his 7 counterparts. Near the Hidden Sword sect, prying eyes occasionally scoured the vicinity. These belonged to the martial sovereigns and Golden Core true persons from the ancient continent, all converging near the Hidden Sword sect, eager to witness this forthcoming battle. After all, the 8 Golden Core true persons of the Heavenly River Dao sect and Saber Sovereign Lin Fei were not forces that one witnessed in action frequently. Moreover, this battle might determine the future course of all of Great Chan. Those martial sovereigns and Golden Cores who had come in search of treasures needed to ascertain who would truly dominate Great Chan in the coming times. And so, they had arrived early. Yet, Lin Fei was still not present. The Nine Profound sect has relayed a message stating that Saber Sovereign Lin Fei will indeed arrive. Sovereign Lin is indeed confident. Did he accept the challenge of thinking that the 8 Golden Cores of the Heavenly River Dao sect are comparable to Yuming? A man who has the ability to become a Saber Sovereign wouldn't be so naive. Moreover, Lin Fei has slain true person Yuan Lon. How could he be ignorant of the strength of the Heavenly River Dao sect's Golden Core true persons? Having accepted the challenge, he must have some assurances. Or perhaps, even if defeated, he's confident in his ability to escape unscathed. Various martial sovereigns and Golden Core true persons whispered amongst themselves. Indeed, if one were to rashly accept a battle without a means of escape, there was the potential for downfall. Saber Sovereign Lin Fei surely couldn't be so foolish. He must have something to rely upon. However, while Lin Fei had his backup, did the 8 Golden Core true persons of the Heavenly River Dao sect not have their own confidence? The outcome of this battle was still unpredictable. Time trickled away. Suddenly, from a distance, 2 streaks of light shot toward the Hidden Sword sect. Beneath them, a large number of disciples and elders from the Nine Profound sect had already gathered, having arrived much earlier. After all, their speed was no match for Lin Fei's, hence they had come in advance. Saber Sovereign has arrived. Which sect in the ancient continent is Saber Sovereign affiliated with? I'm not certain. In truth, many were curious about Saber Sovereign's identity. However, thus far, no one knew the specifics about Lin Fei. Lin Fei and Shen Lianqing hovered in the void. Shen Lianqing descended directly, while Lin Fei remained aloft. His gaze fixated on the mountains of the Hidden Sword sect where the 8 Golden Core true persons stood. From a distance, there seemed to be a massive river, almost as if it spanned across the void. A formation. These 8 Golden Cores had evidently set up a formation in advance. Clearly, one of their sources of confidence was this very formation. Saber Sovereign, do you dare enter the formation for battle? The voice of one of the Golden Core true persons boomed like thunder, resonating through the void. Chapter 358. Expulsion Order. Enter the formation. Lin Fei's eyes narrowed slightly. He saw the 8 Golden Cores, each positioned at distinct locations. The entire Hidden Sword sect resembled a vast river. Entering it would surely spell unpredictable peril. This was a formation. There are 3 primary methods in the path of immortality: formations, magic treasures, and spells. Of these, formations can harness the power of many, often turning the tide from the weak to the strong. The great protective formations of the immortal sects have safeguarded countless sect gates from being trampled upon. Lin Fei would never underestimate any formation. You guys have planned well. setting up a grand formation here, inviting me to step into it. This formation is surely treacherous. But if I don't step into the formation, I cannot get close to you, much less deal with you. This is the vulnerability of a martial artist. Lin Fei's voice echoed through the void. The purpose of the 8 golden cores setting up the formation was clear to many. It was an open stratagem, and a very blatant one at that. After all, formations are one of the most critical methods for a golden core true person. Not using it would be absurd. The 8 golden cores were very confident. The Heavenly River formation they had set was one of the foundational formations of the Heavenly River Tao sect. Combined with specific magic treasures, its power was earth-shattering. Any martial sovereign or golden core who entered the Heavenly River formation, up until now, none had come out alive. Moreover, they had been preparing this formation for today's battle for a long time. They believed that the formation's power had been amplified to its utmost. The moment Lin Fei stepped in, they were sure of his doom. This was their open stratagem. As long as Lin Fei accepted the challenge, he would have no choice but to step into the formation. Do you believe that without entering the formation, I can't deal with you? Lin Fei's gaze locked onto the 8 golden cores of the Heavenly River Tao sect in the distance. Everyone knew that a martial sovereign's greatest strength was their divine ability. However, from a distance, the divine ability's potency diminishes. But Lin Fei was not just any martial sovereign. He was the saber sovereign, possessing the saber domain. Furthermore, it was the perfect saber domain. With a deafening boom, Lin Fei's saber domain erupted. The perfect saber domain had transformed from intangible to tangible. Upon the descent of the saber domain, it segregated everything into 2 separate spaces. Within the saber domain, Lin Fei was the true sovereign. Moreover, the perfect saber domain had increased in range and power tenfold. Any with a perfect saber domain could be deemed invincible amongst martial sovereigns. Without using any divine ability, just having the perfect saber domain was enough to claim such supremacy. In a certain sense, achieving a perfect saber domain might even be as challenging as becoming a martial king. As Lin Fei's saber domain descended, it immediately enveloped the entire Hidden Sword sect. The 8 golden cores and the formation set by them were instantly shrouded by Lin Fei's saber domain. This is saber domain. The faces of the 8 golden cores changed drastically. They could recognize the saber domain, but the extent to which Lin Fei's domain reached, even from such a distance, was beyond their imagination. The pressure they felt was as if they were under the influence of a top-tier great divine ability. And not just one. Move, damn it. The 8 golden cores panicked. Just the mere presence of Lin Fei's saber domain, which was far stronger than they anticipated, had immobilized them. With a swift movement, Lin Fei stepped forward, instantly appearing before the 8 golden cores, bypassing their formation without triggering it. Witnessing this, a sense of hopelessness took over the 8 golden cores. How long had they prepared for this? They were brimming with confidence, thinking that even if Lin Fei had the saber domain, they had considered it and made preparations. They believed they could withstand his saber domain. But who could have expected Lin Fei's saber domain to be this terrifying? It's perfect, it must be the perfect saber domain. One of the golden core true persons exclaimed in horror. Lin Fei nodded, indeed, it is the perfect saber domain. Hearing Lin Fei's confirmation, the faces of the 8 golden core true persons turned even more ashen. The perfect saber domain was a marvel in martial arts. In fact, for those who had understood martial domains, merely mastering them was an achievement. As for transcending or perfecting it, that was even more challenging than becoming a martial king. Many martial sovereigns could become martial kings, but they hadn't grasped the martial domains, let alone perfect them. Once the saber domain reached perfection, it could rival the power of 4 or 5 top-tier great divine abilities without any weaknesses, complementing each other. With Lin Fei's saber domain, merely unleashing it had suppressed them. How could they fight against such power? We concede. We will leave Great Chan immediately, and the Heavenly River Tao sect will never step foot on Great Chan again, the 8 golden core true persons immediately admitted defeat. There was no need to continue the battle. Going on would only lead them to certain death. At this point, they were merely lambs waiting to be slaughtered on Lin Fei's chopping block. Lin Fei stared at the 8 golden cores, their faces ashen, completely dispirited, without the will to contest any further. Although Lin Fei had initially planned to kill them all, his ultimate goal was to make Great Charm a forbidden area. Once the members of the Heavenly River Dao sect returned to their homeland, they would naturally spread tales of his might. Then, no one would dare to trespass again. Lin Fei didn't need to eradicate them completely. Instead, driving them away was enough. As long as they returned to the ancient continent and spoke of Lin Fei's prowess, other martial sovereigns and golden cores would think twice before venturing to Great Chan. However, this move might attract even stronger cultivators in the future. Still, Lin Fei was fearless against anyone below the nascent soul realm. If any nascent soul great being wanted to come, they would have come already. Whether Lin Fei was killed or spared lives, they would eventually make their move. It was inconceivable for anyone to believe that Great Chan possessed a Dao artifact. Ultimately, Lin Fei withdrew his saber domain. He turned to the 8 golden core true persons and the surrounding golden core cultivators and martial sovereigns, proclaiming, "Great Chan belongs to me. From today, you have 3 days to leave Great Chan. Afterward, it will become a forbidden territory. Any martial artist or chi cultivator who dares trespass will be put to death." Lin Fei's declaration resonated in all directions. Many martial sovereigns and golden core true persons were in uproar. Leave within 3 days or face death. This is too tyrannical. Even if he is tyrannical, given that he is perfect saber domain, making him nearly invincible below the level of martial king and nascent soul. What can we do? Many, despite their indignation, prepared to leave Great Chan. Lin Fei's reputation for ruthlessness was well known. He had dared to kill even Yuan Lon. What would stop him from killing them? As for the 8 golden core true persons from the Heavenly River Dao sect, they left immediately, not even lingering to mourn Yuan Lon. Soon, the area was deserted, leaving behind only the astounded members of the 9 profound sect. On the 26th day of the 5th month of the 2nd year of Chanping, Saber Sovereign Lin Fei fought against the 8 golden core true persons of the Heavenly River Dao sect at the Hidden Sword sect. Using his perfect saber domain, Saber Sovereign Lin Fei overpowered the 8 golden core true persons. He also issued a decree to all martial sovereigns and golden core cultivators in Great Chan, leave within 3 days or face death. When this news spread, the entire world was shaken.